Welcome to music lesson number 7.
Our word of the day is ostinato. An ostinato is a musical pattern or idea that just keeps repeating itself.
Now, you can have a lot of fun with an ostinato, like in the song Black Socks.
Black socks, they never get dirty. The longer you wear them, the stronger they get. Sometimes I think I should wash them, but something inside me keeps saying not yet.
Not yet, 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 not yet.
Black socks, they never get dirty. The longer you wear them, the stronger they get. Sometimes I think I should wash them, but something inside me keeps saying not yet.
Not yet,
Ew,
not yet, not
gross.
yet, not yet, not yet,
Ew,
not yet, not
what is that smell? Ew,
not yet, not
gross.
yet, not yet,
Ew,
not yet, not yet,
what is that smell?
not yet,
Black socks, they never get dirty. The longer you wear them, the stronger they smell. Sometimes I think I should wash them, but something inside me keeps saying not yet. K, fine, they kinda stink. K, fine, they kinda stink. Black socks, they never get dirty. The longer you wear them, the stronger they smell. Sometimes I think I should wash them, but something inside me keeps saying not yet.
So, in Black Socks, the first ostinato, there's more than one. The first one is not yet, not yet, not yet, not yet. It repeats over and over again with the melody on top. Then there's a second ostinato. Ew, gross, ew, what is that smell? Ew, gross, ew, what is that smell? And there's a third layer of ostinato, which is K, fine, they kinda stink. K, fine, they kinda stink. All three of those would be considered an ostinato. Now, you might also be familiar with a song. I think a lot of you know it. Sorry. Now, this isn't the ostinato. Actually, yes. So the piano part could be an ostinato, right? That's just going to repeat over and over again. I love the mountains, I love the rolling hills, I love the flowers, I love the daffodils, I love the fireside when all the lights are low. And then here is the vocal ostinato. Boom de-yada, 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 boom de-yada. Over and over again under the melody of I Love the Mountains. Ostinato. Another example of ostinato can be found in the song Stand By Me, or as our family did, Don't Stand By Me. First, I'm going to play for you the ostinato, and second, I'll play you part of the song. Don't stand by me. 1, 2, ready, and.
When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light.
And then finally, there's a song that some of you may know. It's a pop song. It's an old song called Hit the Road, Jack. And the interesting thing about this ostinato that I'll play the bass part. The ostinato part is in my bass, is in the bass clef with my left hand playing, and I'll play that for you. And the line that is heard actually is exactly like the ostinato that used to be used during Baroque period, during the Baroque period, so hundreds of years ago. And when people heard that in music, it signaled that the song was about death. And it's interesting then that ostinato was picked up by somebody hundreds of years later in a song called Hit the Road, Jack.
An ostinato is a musical figure that repeats over and over again. An ostinato is a musical figure that repeats over and over again. I'm building up roots to make this song. This technique goes back over hundreds of years. You can hear it in Bach, Purcell, even Ray Charles. Repetition as a way to drive music into your brain. Ostinato, ostinato.
Lesson 7. The Staff. Imagine a road. But let's say that you want to walk across that road. You might need a crosswalk. Sometimes a person might step on a line, or that person might step in between a line, or in the space. Now, let's say for a moment that we're going to add some more lines. And let's take a walk across these lines. We're going to walk on a line and in a space. Line, space, line, space, line, space, line, space. Here are all the steps that went on the lines. And here are all the steps that went in the spaces. Now, we don't write music on roads very often. Usually we do it on white paper with black lines. So here are the lines that we write music on, and we call this a staff. Also in music, we don't usually stand on the lines, but instead we draw notes. Notes can be filled in, or they can be empty. On this staff, we number our lines, bottom to top. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We also number the spaces, 1, 2, 3, and 4. But now you might be wondering, what does this matter for singing? Well, knowing those lines and spaces helps us recognize which notes we're looking at. Let's bring back in some solfege to figure out how this works together. This rectangle is a do marker. It is not a note. This is just a rectangle. but it tells us where do goes. So in this case, this do marker tells us that the note that we're going to call do is going to be in space number 1. So if I bring in a note, and this note is in space number 1, then I know that that note is do. If I bring in a few more notes in the same place, those are also going to be do. Just for kicks, let's sing this. If this is do, do, then I would sing do, do, do. Now that might just be the most boring song in the universe, but there you go. That's how we get started. Let's try another one with notes in different places. We're going to leave do in the same place. So for now, it's the first space. And we'll start off with right. That's probably going to be do. It is, but let's add some different notes this time. How about a note that's up one line, and then the next note's in the space? So notice that we are stepping from a space note to a line note to a space note. So you might figure out that these notes are going to be do, re, and mi. Let's try singing them. Here's do again. Do, do, re, mi. Good. Let's try another one. We're still leaving do in the first space. And so there's our first note again, probably do. And here's our next note. And here's another one. And another one. And one more. So we have 5 notes. Notice that these go up, alternating space, line, space, line, space. Again, those are going to be called steps, and they are going in order. Do, re, mi, fa, and so. And let's try singing through it. Here's do. Do, do, re, mi, fa, so. Awesome. Let's try another one. This time we are going to move do. And if that's a little different, you better get used to it because do can move. And when it moves, everything moves with it. Just follow along and you'll figure it out. So we're going to move do, and this time we're going to put it on the 3rd line. And here comes a note. And notice that this note is also on the 3rd line. So it's probably going to be do. And here's another note and a 3rd note. So even though everything is moved to different places, it still starts on do and it goes up by steps. So it's still going to be do, re, and mi. Let's try singing it. Here's do. Do, do, re, mi. Let's try another one. We're going to move do again. Let's see where it goes this time. Down to the 2nd line. So there's a note that's going to be do, and here are some more. Now we might have mixed it up just a little, only 3 little notes, but let's figure out what they are. The first note is in the same place as our do marker, so that's going to be do. But the 2nd note is on a line 2. There's a skip there. We skipped a note and left one out, so it's not going to be re. That 2nd note is actually going to be mi. The 3rd note comes back down, so it changes directions and goes downward, and it goes from a line to a space. It's going to be re. So, again, these 3 notes are do, mi, and re. A little bit different. Let's sing it and hear what it sounds like. Here's do this time. Do, do, mi, re. Good. All right. Here's another one. We move do again. Now it's in the 2nd space. There's a do note and some more. Okay, so hopefully that pattern that you're looking at looks familiar to you. 5 notes in a row, all going up by steps, alternating space, line, space. So if you're thinking these might just be do, re, mi, fa, and so, you're right. Let's hear what it sounds like. Here's our do marker. Do, do, re, mi, fa, so. Let's put do this time on the 2nd line, and here's some notes for you. And you can tell these ones are really moving around this time. First note, again, is going to be do. Not surprising. We will change that eventually, but Okay, second note skips. Now, one hint here. If you see, for example, you see 3 notes in a row here and they go line, line, line. No space notes in between. Line, line, line. Then you can think, I'm probably leaving one note out in between each. So the first one's do, skipping re. Mi is going to be here, skipping fa, going on to so. Then these 3 notes coming down goes line, space, line. So we're not skipping anything. So let's put in our fa and then mi again. All right? And here's our do. Do, do, mi, so, fa, mi. Let's put do down here on the bottom line. There are some notes mixed up again. First note again is going to be do. Second note goes from line to space, the very next note, so that's going to be re. Then we skip space to space, so next will be fa. Then we turn around, go down to mi, and then the last note is do again. Let's sing it. Here's do. Do, do, re, fa, mi, do. Now, finally, let's have a first note that's not do. So we're going to leave do in the same place on the bottom line and bring in a new note. So notice that the first note this time is not do. It's in a different place. Do's here on the first line. Our first note that we're looking at is on the second line. So this is actually going to be mi. So these notes are mi, re, and do in that order. So this is where it gets tricky. If this is do, do, where is the first note? Because it's not do. This part can be really tricky for people. You know the first note is mi, so it can help if you sing up in your head. I'll sing out loud, but it helps if you get to where you don't have to, and you can kind of sing it in your head. That's called audiating. So, do, re, mi, mi. So that's your first note is mi. So let's sing these 3 notes. Mi, re, do. Awesome. Let's just do one more. I promise this is the last one because you're probably getting tired. So we're going to move do just a hair up to the first space and bring in a note. And notice that it's in the second space, so we've skipped one. So once again, this first note is going to be mi, and then so, fa, re, and do. And those are our notes. Now this is going to be really tricky, and we're going to make this easier. Right now we're showing you the staff. If these patterns you're like, well, I can't read that, we will build you back up to this. So this is an exercise to teach you about the staff today. If you find this to be really simple, then you can plow right on ahead through lessons. A lot of that just depends on your musical background, instruments you might have already played and things like that. So let's just sing through this one. So here's where do is. Do. So you have to find your first note, which is mi. So again, in your head, you can kind of sing do, re, mi. So that's your first note is mi. Now let's try singing this. Mi, so, fa, re, do. Awesome. That lesson taught you a lot of stuff, so congratulations just for getting through it.
That's all for now. I hope you have a great week, and we'll see you next time.